widely believed that CBS, NBC, ABC, chock full of liberals. Not true. Frequently what happened, people who are described as conservatives want to say, I worked at CBS News and, you know, almost everybody there was liberal. What they really mean is not everybody there agreed with them all the time. This is a sham. It's a camouflage.
Dan, thanks for your words. It's been 55 years now, and we still love to listen to you. Let me just say this. I think one thing Rather was trying to say, I hope, do most people in these networks vote Democratic? Yes. Do you suggest that every journalist who's a Democrat is a biased reporter? And I think the answer to that is absolutely no, any more than our own Bernie Goldberg, who is a conservative right-winger, necessarily was being biased when he reported for CBS. So, I mean, I think the argument here is, are they Democrats, and do they vote for Democrats? Yes. Does that impact on their writing?
Yes.
And their reporting? Well, of all of them? You think all of them?
Well, look at the empirical evidence. I mean, come on. When you look at actual legitimate research about it, it exists.
It's
not every single, well, not every single one, but it's also not what they write in their stories. It's the stories that they don't write, or the stories that they choose to place in other sections. For example, front page of the Sunday New York Times, a big story on Ann Romney and her lavish, I think it was exotic genre of horse riding. And then a couple days later, it was an author who had done, he had unearthed new details about Obama's dope smoking, and that was buried on page A15. So
remember in the photo caption of that Ann Romney story in the front page of the New York Times, there was a parentheses, and it said, oh, and by the way, horse riding helps her with her MS. But it was in the fine print.
Reporters don't have placement decisions in a paper. Reporters do not have placement decisions in a paper. So could you blame management for that? Editors, yeah. But could you blame a reporter? I'd like you, if you're calling out all the Washington Post reporters, New York Times reporters, and saying that they're liberally biased.
I didn't say all of them, though, Bob. I didn't.
There is a strong liberal bias.
Even Politico's Jim Vandeheim, we've talked about this before, had said the majority of the reporters in newsrooms are left-leaning. They vote Democratic, and they don't like Romney.
No, CYA?
CYA.
CYA for what?
For Politico.
For what?
I mean, they've been accused of being the most liberal organization, and they attacked the Times and the Post for being liberal.
No. Before this happened, you have a soundbite if you want to roll. It's your segment and all. But
I don't want to roll.
That's probably why I figure you weren't rolling it. I don't blame you. But look at Politico. I mean, Politico is on throughout the day on MSNBC. You see him on NBC. Politico spends a lot of time at the White House, meeting with the White House. That's all left. That's all influence. That's all bias, and whether you see it blatantly, smacked in the front page.
What do you think Red State
is? You're getting fed it. Red State's not at the White House. Red State isn't all over. Red State's not on Fox News, but Politico does find itself.
That's the biggest one. Drudge is a right winger.
Have you seen Matt Drudge on TV? Have you seen Matt Drudge on TV in 5 years?
He gets millions of hits a day.
I'm not saying
that's not what he's saying. He's talking about direct influence
on the bias thing. Let's just take it out of conservative versus liberal for a second and look at the 2008 primary race between Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama. I believe that there was a decision by many people, even if it's not spoken, that President Obama, then Senator Obama, was the person that they wanted to help win. And there was a lot of frustration on the Clinton campaign that they couldn't even get the reporters to cover stories that were ones that we've been covering the last 3.5 years, going, oh, wait, he only voted president 100 times as a senator.
It is true. And Bob, when I did campaigns, was a press secretary here in New York, a lot of the reporters that are at Politico were in New York media. They wouldn't cover any negative stories about Eliot Spitzer. They wouldn't do any digging. They resigned themselves that he was going to win.
You think that the conservative reporters, so you're suggesting conservative reporters are all unbiased reporters?
No, I think that there is the vast majority, and in fact, that is one of the reasons if you look at who broke the John Edwards story. It was not all the hundreds of reporters on the campaign. Their sources must have been so bad, the National Enquirer had to break that story.
And just think by sheer numbers, Bob, ABC, NBC, CBS, MSNBC, New York Times, Politico, cause it goes on and on. I mean, there's a huge unbalance on the left.
All I'm suggesting is all these people who got in journalism, you're suggesting that they're biased reporters.
Not all of them.
Well, you can't say all.
Not all of them.
Can I say most?
But Bob, a Washington Post story the same week of the gay marriage endorsement by President Obama happens to highlight in this extensive way Mitt Romney's bullying. I mean, and the ABC interview with Newt Gingrich's ex-wife right before the South Carolina primary.
You could argue that the editors of the Washington Post, I suppose, but the Washington Post is known as a liberal newspaper. That's right.
It doesn't.
But the Wall Street Journal is known as a conservative newspaper.
It also got ink all over my hands this morning on the train. It was very irritating.
Cheap paper.
And Matt Drudge gets more people listening to him than any of these newspapers combined. And he's a right-winger.
Whatever.
You mean
okay, we can tease now. But it's your tease.
Oh, it's my tease. Sorry. One more thing. Are we sure that's what it is? Yeah. One more thing is up next.